All right, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for taking the time out of your day to kind of share your experience. So maybe just give a quick intro of who you are, what you do, a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth, and I am a treasurer for a major company in Utah. We insure Utah cities, and so we're the liability coverage, and I'm the treasurer, so I do all things financial for the company.
Awesome, very cool. Is it a very active job, or is it a lot of sitting?
It's a lot of sitting. It's a very it honestly, I'm a number nerd, and so I it is truly my dream job. Great company to work for.
Yeah.
Um, but I very often put in 12-hour days. I very often put in 14-hour days.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that I leave in the dark and get home in the dark when it's not even winter time.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's
So
crazy.
it it definitely contributed to kind of what I felt my weight gain journey.
Sure, sure. So, going into the program, what would you say your goals were?
Um, I saw a number on my scale that was kind of a rock bottom.
Sure.
That number happened to be 190 pounds. I'm 5'6". Um, that was too much. That
Sure.
was that was too big of a number. It was also my reality that my size was large to extra large, and that was really kind of painful.
Sure.
That I was there, and I felt like I had been doing things to try and change this, but nothing was working,
Yeah.
and I knew that something needed to change because I really had some, I don't know, disappointed is not strong enough for what I was with myself,
Yeah.
but it just was I needed I needed some help.
Sure. Understandable. And so your goal was essentially to get into a healthier spot and see a healthier number on the scale.
Definitely. I knew the number on the scale needed to change,
Hmm.
but also had had lost weight before, and and knew that I wasn't completely driven by numbers.
Sure.
I definitely had been at a number on the scale that I would have thought if I had just heard that number, thought, oh, that's way too heavy. And I knew that I felt very skinny at that number. So
Sure.
I felt like that was kind of a healthy. I had a number in my mind, and I thought I needed to lose somewhere between 40 and 50 pounds. But I was also very willing to be like, if I lost 30 pounds and I felt good, I I was gonna be okay with that, and knew I would be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. So it was a combination of feeling healthy and good on top of, obviously a little bit of the number side, but it was multiple fold then.
Yes.
Awesome. And it
Yep.
looks like your camera turned off a little
Did
bit.
it? I got a call in the middle and I just ignored it.
Yeah,
So
no worries. Let me see. Oh, there
there
you
we
go.
go.
You're good.
And I didn't
Perfect.
want to touch anything because then I was afraid suddenly I'd be
No,
talking to the call.
no
So,
worries. Yeah, not a problem. Um, what would you say kind of your health, your relationship with your body was like with nutrition and health, and just kind of talk us through that a little bit.
um, interesting. Again, self-loathing. There was a lot of just beating myself up,
Yeah,
just constant negativity
yeah,
in about how I felt and looked, and that when you have that much kind of negativity, um, you it spills out into other areas.
sure.
So I think I was probably more argumentative than I needed to be. I probably life wasn't as beautiful as it should or could have been, even though
Sure.
I still feel like I had a happy life. I have a happy marriage. I have
Yeah.
happy kids. I have a good life, but I knew there was just really this part that was really, I was just really disgusted with myself.
Sure.
And and also just like walking up the stairs or something, I'm winded, and
Yeah.
bending over, I couldn't bend over. How can I not bend over to pick something up,
Sure.
or if I'm sitting on the floor to like legs are cramping up, and just, and I very much knew that that was the result of my weight.
Yeah. And I remember you saying that you felt like you had tried everything and just nothing was really working. And then on top of that, so that kind of helps you feel a little helpless and hopeless, feeling like you
Very
tried
so.
everything. And then at the same time, you have kind of that negative spiral of, I can't go upstairs, and bending over is painful, and look in the mirror. And like you said, when we have those negative thoughts and kind of that negative feedback loop, that changes, even when we have amazing things going on around us, that changes how we, kind of the frame in which we see the world or enjoy certain experiences, and that type of thing, because reality is all in our own mind. And so if we're seeing things through this frame of those negative emotions like you were talking about, it really does affect everything that we do.
Absolutely. And I think kind of my another low, kind of another portion, another piece of this low, or was pictures of myself. I'm a picture
Sure.
taker, and my kids can basically watch themselves grow up in real time. I take pictures so much,
It's awesome.
and I recognized that I was absolutely avoiding being in pictures. Um, and there are some pictures you just can't avoid, and
Sure.
I recognized that some of the pictures I was in, I couldn't look at that picture. I just couldn't look at the picture. And it was, these wonderful events of, milestones in my children's lives. But all I could see was that fat woman there. And anyway, I don't know if you want me to get into this part, but I mentioned to you, I think on one of our last talks, that I can now look at those pictures, and I still am not happy with how I looked there, but I don't have that same trigger,
Sure.
because that's not how I feel anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice that, I mean, that picture isn't any different. I'm still the fat lady in the picture, but I can now look at that picture and remember the awesomeness of the day,
Yeah.
rather than just going, I can't even look at this picture. I
Yeah.
just can't even keep that picture up. Don't not can't see that picture.
Sure.
It's kind of nice that when that shift happened, that was really kind of empowering, because again, that picture's still there for everyone to
Sure.
see, but um, my thought process about it now really shifted.
Yeah. Your experience retroactively has changed about that event due
Yes.
to, I mean, all of the work and incredible results that you've achieved. So what would you say had like started to shift as we started working together? Like, and maybe we'll talk specifically like, weight measurements, ability to lift and walk and stuff like that, and then maybe the intangible stuff.
Right. Um, a huge motivator, um, both to keep me going, and a huge part of why I signed up with you was, um, it was going to cost me some money. I was going to have some skin in the game,
Skin in the
if
game.
we
Yep.
use that, because to me it was like, okay, you need to do what he's going to tell you to do, because this isn't super cheap. I
Sure.
mean, it's not crazy expensive, but it was definitely um, some skin in the game,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to push myself to do something, because um, I was not seeing any results. And again, I don't know if I'm kind of jumping ahead, but
No, you're good.
I felt like I was doing everything. But as I look back, all I was really doing was putting a lot of emotion
Mm-hmm.
into um, into it. I wasn't doing anything. You know, when I look at what I actually physically do now, as opposed to what I was doing at that time when I felt like I was doing everything and trying everything, I was doing almost nothing,
Sure.
and expecting results, and that's kind of funny, you know, now that I think about it. But in my mind, I truly thought I was doing something. So
Yeah.
that was so price was a huge motivator to me to not waste it, I
Sure.
guess.
Yeah. Having that
Um,
skin in the game is important for sure.
yeah, and I also truly did hit a rock bottom. I was like, I I just can't be like this. This is not working. I have got to do something. And and I and you and I couldn't, you know, I knew I needed to work, but I had some major things coming up. So
Yeah.
we weren't able to actually start working for, I think it was about 4 weeks after I
Yeah.
messaged you and
Yeah.
actually set up, but it was like weird, my starting date can't be for about a month.
Yeah.
And I definitely decided at that point when you and I first talked that I didn't there was no reason for me to wait a month
Sure.
to 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 start your program. And I knew if I did, or if I got that mentality, that it would be kind of the let's eat, drink, and be merry type of thing. Okay, I'm
Let's
gonna
eat
start in a
all the
month, so
things and yeah.
all the things. And I thought the last thing I want to do is pack on another 10 pounds
Sure.
before I start this. And so actually before you and I started, I think I lost about 8 or 9 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, I still was in a pretty rough place mentally when we started. And I think if you look at the date of the first pictures, it was probably about 2 weeks after we started.
Yeah. It took
I
a second to get you to
it,
upload some
I
progress
was
pictures.
not, that was definitely a trigger to me.
Yeah.
So I think the very first weight that I logged was like 177 pounds. So that was 13 pounds
Yeah.
lost.
Because you messaged and said, "Hey, I'd love to chat," and it was about a week before we connected, and then we connected. You enrolled in the program, and then you went up to Idaho. You went. There was another thing, and so yeah, it was 3 weeks from when
Conference.
you actually
I had a
started. Was it
conference that I was
a
in charge of
conference that
all
you were in
the
charge
food,
of all the
and
of everything?
I lost 3 pounds at that conference,
Yeah,
you
you were
know.
like, what should I focus on? Like before our official starting date, give me some bullet points. And so I was like, okay, here, follow this. And you,
Yep.
even before we started like officially working together, you kind of started to shift, which was really awesome.
And I thought that was really awesome because because really at that point I wasn't working a program per se.
Sure.
I was making little changes, and I thought that was interesting how much those little changes really paid off.
Yeah.
And um, and I don't know, they definitely gave me motivation to really jump into this program, because if those little changes were gonna give me results, I was excited to see when I really kind of jumped in.
For sure. And as you really jumped in, was it anything that was like crazy monumental, or did you feel like it was kind of doable and sustainable? Talk a little bit about that maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So um, I started just introducing exercise back into my life. Now I have had exercise in my life, but for about 7 years, exercise has not been a high priority and has been very, very sporadic and almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And it's in that time that I really have found this weight. And so I started. I knew if I just kind of jumped in crazy, or if you had given me crazy things that I couldn't do, that wasn't going to work.
Sure.
I wasn't in good enough shape. I wasn't. I couldn't feel defeated because I was already defeated.
Yeah.
So so I mean your program is 30 minutes of activity, and so to me that started out with walking.
Yeah.
And I walked, and I found that in about 35 minutes I could walk 2 miles. Um, and so I just made sure that I did that. And crazily, I started losing some weight,
Yeah.
and and that's really all I did for quite some time.
Yeah.
Um, During almost immediately after I started, I had a back issue, and my back, I mean, went out. I think that's what most people would
How they
relate
would
to.
call it. Yeah.
My back really went out, and I thought, this is an absolutely legitimate excuse. I
Sure.
really can't move. And I kept moving.
Yeah.
And and I did things, and I was very careful. I tried not to aggravate my back. I didn't want to. I honestly, I wasn't worried about my back. I was worried about hurting myself enough that I couldn't keep doing this.
Sure.
So I was really being careful, and I would listen to my body, but I still kept moving, and the back little by little got better, and then I was able to move more,
Sure.
and pretty soon my 2 miles, it it turned into a lot more. And I mean, I don't want to put out numbers because I am a runner,
Sure.
and so I don't want to scare somebody, but I was doing 2 miles, but it was not unheard of for me to do 10 miles.
Yeah. But it
And
was something that you
again, that's
enjoyed.
my
That was
thing.
what you were doing, and you didn't have to like gear up or motivate yourself. Or you we found what worked for you, and it
Right.
was the walking, the jogging, and ramping that
And I
up.
guess my point though is that you don't have to do 10 miles.
Yeah.
That's not what somebody's going to have to do, because
Right.
I was losing weight absolutely in a 2 mile walk.
Yeah.
And my running, I never got to the point where I was running 10 miles. And I really didn't want to, because that's hard. And I
Sure.
wanted to always enjoy what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I run walk. When the running is too hard for me, I stop and walk, and I enjoy the walk.
Yeah. So in the time that we, chatted to when we started working together, it was about 12 pounds, and then from then until now, what was kind of the total number? And I can't remember if you did measurements or not.
So again, measurements started with that first weigh-in, which was, I think you and I had been working together for 2 weeks
Yeah.
at that point. And if I was and that was 177. So I was 13 down, and a lot of that was yours, but I just wasn't ready to to record it.
That's
I
all right.
it And then, but 13 pounds down, I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
that's
There's something to
I was
this. We
feeling
we can do this.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I just was able to see that number continue to go down, and I'm currently, as of this morning, am 152 pounds, and so I'm 38 pounds from when I started,
Holy cow. It's incredible.
and still going. I'm not done. I have a little more to do,
Yeah.
but I also feel like I've got some great tools right now, and a lot of so let me go back to that self-loathing.
Sure.
Totally been replaced by self-love.
Yeah.
I'm pride. I'm very proud of myself. I've worked hard. I took this program seriously because I really wanted some changes,
Yeah.
and I saw the changes.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here. Last night I was sitting down on the floor doing stuff, and there wasn't even a thought of that I could jump up, or that I needed to reposition myself. I mean, it was just it it's just so different, and it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
This was only August that we're
Yeah.
talking about, and
Couple months ago, the
this
changes
is
that you made,
December.
in just a few short months. And I always tell people, like, the time's going to pass, anyway. Time's going to pass anyway. Put forth, 1% better each day, little things, focusing on the stuff that actually drives the needle the most, the big boulders versus the small stones, and like focus on those things in an enjoyable, sustainable fashion consistently, right? And you were able to achieve so much physically, but also the changes that you made mentally from the first couple messages that we had back and forth of kind of where you were, the self-loathing and mental state to where you are now, like that, like I really love the weight loss because they go hand in hand, but the mental state and those shifts is incredible. So I feel like you should take a ton of pride in that as well because it's less tangible.
True.
You know what I mean? It's hard to quantify, but it's totally there.
I remember about halfway through telling you that, mentioning that I just really, kind of that self-loathing, and it was just kind of all day long. It's like, I can't believe it was just always there in my mind.
Yeah.
Just terrible. It just kind of permeated. Um, and then about halfway through where I was just, it had been completely replaced with the opposite. And to me, that was such a cool thing to recognize that I had kind of this dark, and now I'm just giving myself compliments all day, and and
Love
it's
it.
just like what a difference that has truly made,
Yeah.
and how I feel. It truly, even what you say to yourself matters.
Yeah.
So
100%. And would you say that that's kind of one of the, like, is that your favorite thing about us working together, or what would you say is like the cherry on top?
the cherry on top is the clothes that I'm wearing right now. I'm
Okay.
so excited. I can
Yeah.
look at myself. I have no problem with pictures being taken of me. And again, I'm not. I'd still like to go a little more,
Sure.
um, but I'm in a very good place, and very that it's fun when 3 months ago there were clothes that were just big and tight, and those don't fit anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely changed my body shape. Um, you, you, some of my favorite things are about what you have said and done. As you know, my favorite one is the phone, dropping of the phone,
Yeah.
because that was such a big thing for me. Like I told you, I said, felt like I was doing things constantly, and so I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to eat sugar ever again.
Right.
And then 5 minutes later, I'd eat the donut, and then I'm like, well, I've just ruined that. I might as well eat the rest of the donuts,
Yup.
And you said during one of our conversations that you can drop your phone, but you don't have to stomp on it,
Mm-hmm.
and that just resonated with me because that's exactly right. You can, you may have a bad day where you're not feeling it, or I it's my birthday and we celebrated last night. I ate the birthday cake.
Yeah.
Um and I ate it with no qualms whatsoever. I happen to work it into my calories for the day,
Yeah.
but there are times that I don't, and there are a couple of things. I can either up my exercise to kind of account for it, or I can go, you know what? I truly chose to eat that. It's going to have consequences,
Mm-hmm.
but I chose to do it. And tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
But I don't. That doesn't mean just because I ate birthday cake that I need to just screw the whole program.
Right.
I mean,
Yep.
I
Changing that all or nothing mentality and doing
right,
things deliberately, like, okay, why am I eating this birthday cake right now? Because it's my
right,
birthday and I want to enjoy it, and that's awesome. And that's it's deliberate and intentional. It's awesome.
yes. And I think that was another thing. I think you gave me um, was helping me to recognize. And I don't know that you even knew you were doing this, but you tell us how to be deliberate, in the eating. And I'm sorry, I'm not remembering exactly what the the reasons why you eat, but one
Sure.
of them is to own it, enjoy
Mm-hmm.
it, eat for enjoyment. And so what I learned from that was that i can I can eat the birthday cake, but you know what, sometimes a bite of birthday cake is really plenty.
Sure.
And um, but something I've loved is there isn't anything that I have truly wanted to eat that I felt like, oh, can't do that. I'm on a program. Can't do
Right.
that. I have never ever felt that. I felt like the tools that you have given me have made it extremely possible for me to enjoy life and food,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also recognize kind of the balance and to and exercise has really become something that I've missed in my life. Like I
Sure.
told you, I have exercised in my life and I haven't had it for the last 7 years, and I have really enjoyed having it back.
Yeah.
Um, it's just I thoroughly enjoy that time. Um, I get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the gym, and my workout is typically done by 6:30 in the morning,
So
and
awesome.
I love it. I mean, it, there's almost nothing that will keep me in bed, because
Yeah.
because I have seen what it's done for me,
Yeah.
and I just know that I'm going to have such a better day if that's kind of how I start it.
Yeah.
And it's also really nice to get it up and over with too, and then
Sure.
the day and then I get dressed for the day, and the day just goes on, but kind of that that movement, that those calorie burning, I've
Mm-hmm.
done that, that strength building,
Yeah.
I've already put that in,
Yeah.
and um just enjoyed it. But I didn't start out at the 5:30 in the morning. I
Right.
definitely was in the evenings when I started,
Yeah.
and
And we had to
so
do what you could do, what you wanted to do, and what we could do then, and kind of for the sustainable future.
right,
And then as you go through it, the cost to benefit kind of like matrix or ratio, it starts to shift and you start to enjoy it more. And because most people that I work with, they start off not necessarily loving working out or working, or exercising or tracking what they eat. Like it's new, it's maybe something they haven't done for a long time or whatever the case is. And making those small changes, especially at the beginning, small and consistent, and then it just builds upon itself, kind of leads to success.
yeah. Another thing that was really good for me personally was the tracking of the food,
Mm-hmm.
and being honest, and just kind of seeing that, because I mean I was a good label reader, so I always understood that, 4 servings might be in this one can or something.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
not that 300 calories is per serving, not per package or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And
I've
right there,
always
that's a big difference maker. Some people don't recognize that.
right, but it was still interesting to be like things that you don't think of. If you have 2 or 3 pieces of toast for breakfast or something, that you're just thinking, okay, that could be a lot of calories
Sure.
that they're just kind of empty calories. So for me, tracking it was a really good way to kind of be like, you know what, I like crumble cookies. I do want a crumble cookie, but do I really want 500 or 600 calories of my 1,200 calorie day to be this cookie?
Sure.
And so it was really nice to kind of have that tangible, um, just kind of see that, and to let me make the decision
Yep.
that either I was going to do that or I was gonna eat an eighth of it,
Yeah.
and to me that totally fit into my calories. And what I found was that I really only wanted a bite of that cookie,
Yeah.
and and that really satisfied kind of that need. So again, I will say again that there is nothing that I haven't eaten that I've wanted to
Yeah.
on this program. There's nothing I've eaten a lot of junk food. I like red vines at the movie theater, but I don't eat the whole package anymore.
Sure.
I eat 3 of them, and
Yeah. When
plenty.
you do it in the right way and actually enjoy your food and don't mindlessly and that's one of the things that we talk about is, and it sounds weird, but like how to eat in a way that you enjoy your food to the fullest and it still fits within your goals. And so it's a double win instead of over consuming, and then you feel bad, and there's just like these negative emotions. And yeah, those are some mental techniques that you've done really well with. It's
And
awesome.
that was something that you really did help me to understand, was that to truly, if you want that cookie, eat that cookie
Yeah.
and absolutely enjoy it. And I learned to do that.
Yeah.
And before, I did a lot of just like, well, I like cookies, so I eat cookies, and instead of like, okay, this is a cookie. I'm
Yeah.
going to eat it and I'm going to really enjoy it. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really was, for me, it was a really good mind shift
Yeah.
to be very aware. Am I really hungry, or am I eating because it's lunchtime?
Sure.
And and that was something that was interesting too. Do I clear my plate because that's what I put on my plate, or am I going to eat until I'm full?
Sure.
And those were so meals became a time when I really started listening to me. Am I hungry? Am I full?
Yeah.
And water intake was another huge thing. I drink a lot of water. I still don't love water, but I and you when you were tracking, you probably saw that I did really well during the week, and then on weekends, like, no water, no water.
It's hard when you're out
Uh,
of your routine, for sure. It's a little
so yeah,
different.
my water is definitely part of my work routine,
Sure.
and but I also recognize that when I'm drinking water, I'm not as hungry, so I'm a lot less likely to eat some of, I don't know, to do some of the mindless
Yeah,
eating.
mindless snacking, for sure.
And when I'm drinking a lot of water, I just feel better. I
Mhm.
I really do. And I'm also a soda drinker, and I have not given up soda. Um, but I'm now drinking. Now soda isn't the only liquid that I'm drinking. I'm
Sure.
actually drinking.
Expanded the horizons a little bit.
Yeah, I usually drink about a gallon of water a day,
It's awesome. It's very impressive. Um,
and my soda.
yeah, on top of the soda. I love it. So, what would you say to somebody who's maybe on the fence or not sure if they should kind of take that leap of faith in working with me?
I would say, do it. You're worth it. And I just I have told you that you were the piece of the puzzle that I was missing.
Yeah.
Um, and to keep the puzzle analogy, you actually put all of the pieces out there for me too. I mean, you made the pieces easy to go together. I never ever felt like your program was hard, or it wasn't anything that I couldn't do. Um, but but I am also a piece of that puzzle, and I could have ignored all of the pieces that
Yeah.
you gave me, and I would not have had any results.
Yep.
Um, but the pieces were there, and I did my part, and I am ecstatic about my results.
Yes. I love it.
And that side by side you sent me last week was amazing.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I'm Again, that's a triggering picture because that wasn't that long ago, and that was me, and that was a tough time. But I'm totally going to post that on my Facebook.
Yes. I love it. Yeah, because it's just I'm just so proud of you. Like, I know that I'm not supposed to take pride in, it's sometimes in these
No,
things because you're
I
the one
give
that did
you.
all of the work, but like, I'm just so proud in what you were able to accomplish physically, mentally,
I am so
emotionally,
proud of us.
across. Yes, yes, there we go. I'm so proud of us that I was able to provide the puzzles, and I was able to kind of like lead you to the water, so to speak, but you were the one that actually drank the water, put in the work, put in the effort, and that consistency, and made the changes necessary, and now you're kind of reaping the rewards in a way. So proud of you. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I mean, obviously, we will
You.
stay in touch 100%. And I hope you have a fantastic birthday and a fantastic night.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Appreciate it.
much. Take care.
Bye bye.